of around 30 minutes. Okay. So my name is Subrahmanyam. I work as a senior AWS consultant and also as a data engineer. Okay. So I will be just talking about, first I'll talk about, okay, so I will just talk about one couple of things today. So that includes, okay, so that includes these things, right? So I will be talking about what is cloud computing versus traditional computing, okay, cloud computing models, okay, providers, career path in, okay, so career path in cloud, okay, so AWS, then the course content and duration, right? So now first is, let us try to understand what exactly cloud computing, right? Now, cloud computing is the delivery of on-demand computing services over the internet on a pay-as-you-go basis model. So now agenda for discussion is just I will go through these topics, okay? Then followed by that, yeah, I will see about the career path. Okay, there we'll see about salary related things and other things. Now, first is what is cloud computing? Cloud computing is nothing but providing required services based on need, right? So now, for example, let's say that I need a server, right? So what I need a server to do a IT project, correct? Now, in traditional approach, we used to go and buy a server, then we used to bring it to our office and we make it operational, okay? That is traditional way of doing the things. Now, here in cloud computing, what happens is we will not buy server, rather than we'll ask companies like, okay, so AWS or Azure, right? There are companies, right? So AWS, Azure, and many more. Now, what we'll do is we'll ask them to give servers on rent because they have plenty of servers with them. Okay, so they have plenty of servers with them. We'll ask, okay, so I need one server for doing some project, and they will tell, okay, you can take this server on and pay us rent for the duration you are using this server. Clear? So we will be taking server on rent. That means server is given as a service. Okay. So and we'll be using until we need, and then we will tell AWS we don't want it anymore. Please keep it with you. Okay. Now this kind of computing is called as cloud computing. So getting a server, making it operational, and keeping in our office is what it is nothing but traditional computing, whereas using servers present in AWS or Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud and doing our project in that is called as cloud computing. Is it clear till here, both of you, or any confusion? Let me know. Is it okay till here? Have you understood what is cloud computing?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we understood what is cloud computing. Okay. It is nothing but so is the delivery of on-demand computing services over the internet, because whenever you want to use these services, you have to connect over the internet and then you can use it. Okay. So that is cloud computing. Now, what is the difference between cloud computing and traditional computing? So traditional computing refers to computing that is done on premise. Okay. That means whenever you want to do certain projects in any company, you have to go and buy server, you have to bring it to your physical office, then make it operational, then use it. Okay. Now, what is the okay? So let us compare. Okay. Now this refers to this column here refers to, okay. So this refers to on-premise computing, and this column refers to cloud computing. Now, if you consider various parameters like expense, space requirement, maintenance, data recovery, flexibility, updates, etc., right? Now, when you consider expenses, if you are going with on-premise computing, you have to pay a lot. If you want to use a server, you have to buy it, okay? then you need people to manage it, right? So a lot of expense. Whereas if you go with cloud computing, you don't have to buy, you have to pay the rent for using those servers, right? So initial expenses will be very, very low when you go with the, when you go with the cloud computing. Space requirement, if it is on-premise means your own office, then in that case, you have to allot huge space for servers. Okay, so because you have to keep your server, make it operational. Whereas if you are using cloud computing, no server space is required, right? So you don't want any servers. You don't have to maintain. Okay, it will be in AWS cloud, so you don't need any space. Okay, spaces are very, very expensive in cities, right? I mean office space. Then maintenance, you have to take care of maintenance. If it is in your office, if it is in AWS setup, they will take care. Data recovery, if you are having only one physical data center, then chances of recovering data is very low. Whereas if you are having if you are having cloud, then they have multiple data centers. You can keep backup wherever you want, and chances of recovering data is very high because you can keep backup. Then flexibility. So if you are going with the on-premise, let's say your application users went up drastically, then you want to increase number of servers, right? So it is very difficult. You have to again invest a lot of money. You have to buy more servers. You have to bring it and you have to use. Whereas cloud, it is very easy. Over a mouse click, you can get more servers. Okay, and also if you don't want, you can return back to AWS over a mouse click. Then updates, you have to take care of updates. AWS or cloud vendor will take care of updates. Clear? So this is the difference between on-premise computing and cloud computing. Yeah, just see here till here, any questions or any difficulty, you can ask me, everyone. Okay, so Kirti, Saraswati, Mani. I'm just talking about general
No doubt,
things.
sir.
Okay.
Yeah. This is a basic things.
Yeah. Okay, so okay. So then cloud computing models. Okay, now cloud computing use two types of models. One is called as a deployment model and one is called as a service model. Okay, so now what is the difference? So deployment models are created by considering who can access your cloud. Okay, service models are created by considering services provided by cloud. Okay, that's it, nothing more than that. So now deployment model says who can access your cloud. Now, what is cloud? Cloud is a setup. Okay, it is a AWS cloud. Okay, what is basically it? It is nothing but a setup where a lot of IT infrastructure is present, servers, networking devices. Okay, and also many softwares. Everything is available in that setup. Now, what is the meaning of public cloud? We say that AWS cloud, for example, a public cloud, if anyone in this world can access the resources present here. Okay, so you, me, anyone. Okay, if anyone can access resources present in this cloud, we call it as a public cloud. Okay, we call it as what? We call it as a public cloud. Now, what is the meaning of private cloud? So we call this cloud. Okay, yeah, everyone please fill this form. Okay, so just came, right? Money and Kirti. Okay, just fill this form. There is one form. So we call this as private cloud. All right, so when we call it as private cloud, when only certain people can access. Okay, let's say this is a cloud which belongs to Infosys, right? Then this cloud now can be accessed by only employees of Infosys, not you and me. Okay, right? So only employees of Infosys can access. But when we try to access, it is not possible. Okay, now this kind of cloud is called as private cloud. And what is hybrid cloud? Hybrid cloud is a combination of private and public. Okay, so when you have both private, when you are using both private and public, it is called as hybrid cloud. Now we'll go to service models. Now what are service models? Service models talks about various services provided by cloud. Services means facilities, okay? Now all the facilities provided by cloud are put into three categories. One is this one, and another one is this one, and another one is this one, okay? Now this stands for infrastructure as a service, okay? Infrastructure as a service means it is a service offered by cloud which will allow you to get raw servers, okay? Which will allow you to get what is called as servers, okay? Which will allow you to get what is called as servers, okay? You can get servers from cloud using infrastructure as a service, okay? Servers. And then it is your responsibility. You can use it for any purpose. Next, platform as a service means what? It is a service offered by cloud vendor using which you can get ready-made software development platform. For example, okay, like let's say I want a PHP platform, okay, I want a Java platform, okay, I want a Python platform, like this. So these are the services which will give you a ready-made software development platform. You can take it, you can use it, okay. Then software as a service. Now, what is software as a service? Again, it is a service offered by cloud, which will help you to get ready-made softwares. Okay, for example, Gmail. Gmail is a ready-made software. Okay, Salesforce. Nowadays, Microsoft Office. Okay, right. Now, all these softwares you can use with just a browser. What you need? You need a browser and an internet connection. Okay, if you have this one, what you can do is you can get these softwares and you can use online. Okay, now these kind of softwares are called as software as a service. Okay, they all are software as a service. Nowadays, no need of downloading, no need of installing, just you need a browser. Okay, just you need what? A browser and an internet connection to use them. Now, all the cloud vendors services that they provide are either they belong to this category or this category or this category. Okay, so we'll see them detail when we go to AWS. I'm just giving overview now, right? So if you take AWS, there are more than 200 services. Okay, Azure again more than 200 services, like that, right? So hello, yeah, any question? Yeah, yeah. Irfan and everyone, please fill. There is a form in the chat. Okay, please fill that form. I'm just giving a brief overview of AWS cloud, I mean, general cloud related things, everyone. So nothing more than that. Okay, so now moving further, any question here with respect to cloud computing models, everyone? Any question, anyone? Okay, a form.
Sir, can you please tell me about this private cloud, sir?
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
See, private cloud means, okay, now, for example, yeah, you can mute background noise is there. Whenever you have question, you can ask, unmute and ask, okay. The private cloud means, okay, now if you take a Infosys, okay, so they have their own internal cloud setup, okay, forget about AWS. This is the cloud setup of Infosys. Okay, so they have created this cloud for their internal IT projects. Now this cloud contains infrastructure and other things, okay, IT infrastructure and many more things. So this cloud, if you try to access this cloud, you will not be able to access, okay, right? Whereas if you try to access AWS cloud, you will be able to access, correct? So a cloud which can be accessed by anyone is called as public cloud. A cloud which can be accessed by only, let's say here only Infosys employees, okay, they will have credentials, they can access this cloud. But if I try to access Infosys internal cloud, I will not be able to access, correct? Now this kind of cloud is called as a private cloud. Now hybrid cloud is nothing but combination of public and private. Yeah, clear? Any confusion? Let me know, please. Fine, Irfan. Hello, you can say yes, no in the chat.
So like a private cloud means the system of entry into it and everything will be different as per the requirement of the person who has opted for private cloud, right?
Not like that. Okay, for example, okay, let me tell you. See, a cloud can be public or private, okay? Right, so let's say this is a cloud. Now what cloud contains? It contains IT infrastructure, okay, mainly servers, clear? So mainly servers will be present, okay? And let's say that this is you, okay? Now this is AWS cloud, right? So this is AWS cloud. So what is present? Mainly servers, then other IT networking devices, everything will be present, okay? So this is you, right? Now you want to use a server. You are assume that you are working on an IT project, okay? You have a company, you need a server. So what you can do, you can reach AWS and you can tell I need a server, right? So now you will be able to use, they will share, you have to create an account, then process is there, okay? We'll see that later on. But you can approach AWS, you can go to AWS, you can create an account, then you can get the server and you can pay rent, okay, as you use it. So now this cloud, basically, if you want, you can also use the resources present here. If I want, I can also use the resources present here, right? So we call it as public cloud. So public cloud means what? It is a cloud which can be basically accessed by anyone in this world. Is it clear, the public cloud to you?
Yes, sir.
Now, what is the meaning of private cloud? Right? Now, let's say that a cloud is there. Okay, so forget about AWS and it in general. Now, here another cloud is there. Okay, now it also has servers and other things. Okay, IT infrastructure is there inside it. But this cloud is created and managed by, let's say, Infosys, right? And Infosys will not permit anyone in this world to access this. Okay, right? So this is me. If I try to access, it will not permit, okay? So neither it will give credentials nor it will permit. But this is exclusively meant for Infosys employees, okay? So they can use this cloud and they can work on the projects. Clear? Now they can access because they have access to this cloud, okay? But in public, general public, like you and me, if we try to access, it will not permit us to access this kind of cloud. So inside the cloud, mainly servers and other IT related infrastructure will be there. So we call it as a private cloud because it is not it is not possible for everyone to use this cloud, okay? Whereas this cloud anyone can use. So depending on accessibility, we will classify cloud into public and private. Is it clear now? Cloud means it's infrastructure, okay? So, right? Clear? Any difficulty?
Clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
So that is the meaning of what is public private. Now what happens is, right? So now hybrid means what? See, let's say now Infosys has their own cloud and also AWS cloud is there. Now let's say that AWS today got, Infosys today got a multi-million-dollar project, okay? And that project requires, let's say 500 servers, right? Now Infosys already have their own cloud setup and already here, let's say they have 600 servers with them because Infosys is there in IT business for many years, correct? So they have their servers from many years, okay, around 600 servers. So now what they will do for, in order to complete, let's say 1000, not 500, okay. So in order to do this project, they need 1000 servers, okay. So 600 is already available with them. So another 400 server, rather than buying now, they will ask AWS, we need 400 servers, okay. So they will take 400 from AWS, right? 600, they have their own internal cloud, it is there. 400 they will take from AWS. Now this is what combination of public cloud and private cloud. We call this as a hybrid cloud. Clear? Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
So that is the meaning of what is called as hybrid cloud. Okay, nothing more than that, right? So when you use both private and public to work on certain project, see, public in the sense, if you take any resource from public cloud, that will be only for you, okay, right? So that resource, let's say you take one server from AWS, there are already security measures, everything is there, okay. So it is public, that doesn't mean that anyone can access the server you take it from AWS, not like that, okay. So any server that you take from AWS is for you only, okay. All security mechanisms are available to protect that server, and you can use it for any production grade applications. Okay, next, who are the cloud vendors in the market? Okay, there are many, around 100 plus, but market leader is AWS, Azure, and GCP. Okay, okay, now GCP career, sorry, AWS. Okay, just 1 second. So career path. So now, if you know the cloud, right? So you can work as a cloud architect, solution architect, okay, cloud technical support engineer, cloud data engineer. So there are many roles, right? So not only these, right? So I just gave a brief introduction. So if you know AWS, right? So you can work as a AWS, okay, technical associate, right? All right. So where you will able to help AWS cloud users to fix their problems, okay. Also, you can work as a solution architect if you know AWS, okay, where you will be building a solution to client's requirement, okay, using various AWS services, right? Then you can work as AWS data engineer also, right? So where you will be working on lot of data related things in AWS, right? There are multiple career paths, okay. So if you are a fresher or 1 or 2 year experience, okay, you will start as junior AWS solution architect, where you will help senior solution architect to build architecture for a certain applications, okay. Now let's say that a company is migrating from on-premise to AWS. Now solution architect will create entire architecture, okay. Now what should be the VPC, right? Inside VPC, how many subnets should be there, right? And inside subnet, how many servers should be there, okay. Then what should be the CIDR, okay, of these VPC subnet, and how access should be given, okay. So all this kind of entire planning for that particular AWS infrastructure for that project will be done by solution architect, and he will assign task, okay, subtask to junior solution architects. So if you are having 2 to 3 years, you will be starting as a junior solution architect, okay, where you will be helping senior solution architect to create POCs of small services, to create POCs of other of services that are used here, okay. And if you
So
are
one
more
question
interested,
here. Sir,
yes,
it's completely based on the services, right, sir?
yes,
AWS means.
yes.
Okay. It's not like on the product side we will be there, and what kind of job opportunities we get based on this service based.
The service in the sense, how do you get a server? Okay, the application is there. Inside application, there will be a tab. and that is called a service. Okay, if you click on that, you can select a server. Clear? So now if you are if you know AWS, okay, so now you can work as a AWS solution architect. Okay, so let's say one company will come, they will tell we want to use AWS for our application. Then you have to identify all the services which are required and what should be used in those services. Okay, so that kind of planning you have to give it to client. Okay, so once you give it to client, then the implementation of that architecture will start. Right, so if they want to create their application in AWS cloud, that architecture will start. Now, implementation part, or let's say it's a web application, right? So you have to tell them, okay, you have to use this service in AWS, clear? And this should be the configuration. And we have all these servers, which server you want to use, okay? That again depends on how much traffic their application receives, clear? So all the details related to migrating their application to AWS has to be provided by you. So you need to have knowledge of different AWS services. Okay, if you have that knowledge, you can tell how you can use AWS cloud to for your application. Clear? So that will be main role, right? So that
Yes,
is
sir.
one job you can do, right? So then you can work as AWS technical support engineer. Okay, now so many companies are now using AWS cloud, right? Now they want people who know AWS, because every now and then one or the other problem will come when their application is running in AWS. Okay, they have to fix that. Okay, so they need AWS engineers to fix those problems. Understood? So they need AWS technical engineers or AWS engineers to fix the problems that are present in those applications. So one is you can directly work in AWS itself. Okay, or you can work in client place, okay, who are using AWS. Okay, so you can work in AWS itself as a solution architect, or you can work in companies which are using AWS for their application. There also you can work as solution architect, where you will guide them how to which services has to be used. Okay, for using AWS for their application. Then you can work as a AWS engineer, where you will try to fix the problems that application is facing, right? So that is another. And also you can work, if you work in data field, you can work as a AWS data engineer, okay, where you will be creating data pipelines using different services, okay, to get insights from data. Also, if you know machine learning, you can work as AWS machine learning engineer, right? Where you will be building, creating predictive models for the data which is present in AWS cloud using AWS services. Okay. Then further, if you want, you can also work as AWS DevOps engineer, right? So there are many roles depending on your area of interest. You can work when you know AWS. Clear? Any confusion or anything you can ask?
No, sir, it's clear.
So there are different roles depending on, for anything today, you need AWS knowledge. Okay, so if you want to work in any field of IT, okay, you need AWS knowledge, because AWS is having around 40% of the market share. Most of the companies are using AWS. Whether you work as AWS technical engineer or AWS engineer or AWS data engineer or AWS solution architect or AWS DevOps engineer or AWS ML engineer, okay, AWS security engineer, whatever may be, right? Or you are just a web developer, okay. Now all the webs are now developed in for cloud environment only, okay. So nobody uses on-premise set. So wherever maybe you want to work, you need what is called as cloud knowledge. Okay, so cloud is very, very essential. If you know cloud, then do you can work in okay, either in AWS itself or in other companies which are using AWS. Okay, so there are plenty of options you will get when you know AWS cloud. And typical salaries, right? So it starts from, if you are going with some service companies, right? So typical salaries of the people who know AWS, okay, it ranges from, okay, it starts from around 5 LPA, okay, for 2 to 3 year experienced people or freshers. Then as your experience goes up, salary will also goes up. Okay, so because you will be having more knowledge of AWS services, their integration, everything. So people will offer more salary. Give 1 minute. So noise is there. Okay, yeah. Any difficulty till here? Anyone you can ask. So mainly having AWS services knowledge is very much required. Okay, so if you know that, okay, you have plenty of job opportunities. So if you do not have AWS services knowledge, it is difficult for people to hire you. Okay, so when you say that you are a AWS engineer or AWS expert, you need to have multiple AWS service knowledge. That is what we will be discussing in the course. Okay. Okay, so yeah, that is about this. Yeah, now you can ask any questions you have. Okay, and course content I think already shared with you. Yes or no, if you say, so you can see that. Okay, now for example, this is the course content which you are already shared. Okay, so first is introduction. Okay, then the discussion about AWS services will start. Okay, IAM, then S3. Okay, so then EC2. Right? So all there will be some prerequisite, and those prerequisite for any topic will be covered by me whenever it is required. Okay, so for example, when we go to networking using AWS, here we will discuss about all networking basics, and then we'll proceed further. Similarly, when we go to Lambda functions, little Python knowledge is required. So I will be covering Python, and then I will proceed further. Then you have elastic load balancing, right? So again, I will talk about what is servers, and then we'll be using load balancers. Then Route 53. Then databases. Okay, so we'll talk about what is database, what is SQL, and then we'll proceed further with the other AWS services related to databases. Then security operations. Okay, then application services, then infrastructure management services. Okay, then AWS CI/CD. Okay, for DevOps. So we are trying to cover many. Okay, then yeah, Python. Okay, then PySpark. Okay, now in this course we are trying to cover almost all possible areas where you can work. Okay, so we are covering services, okay, which are required you for a AWS solution architect. Okay, and then also for a AWS junior architect. Okay, then AWS technical engineer. Okay, and we are trying to cover AWS data engineer also. Okay, topics related to AWS data engineers, and also AWS DevOps engineers. Okay, that is why all the topics are present in the course content. It's a little in-depth course. Okay, so you can see, right? So if I go down here, okay, so AWS networking engineer requires VPC knowledge. AWS data engineer requires Lambda. Okay, and if you are a server engineer, okay, you need a load balancer. Okay, rated knowledge. And Route 53 is required again if you are working in AWS networking side. And if you are a database, AWS database engineer or a database specialist, okay, then you need AWS database services knowledge. So that is being covered. And if you are working in as a security one, so you need CloudTrail and CloudWatch and few more service details. So that is covered. And yeah, this one. Okay, and if you are working in DevOps, you need CI/CD details. Okay, so that is being covered here. So we are trying to cover, okay, and anyway, Python knowledge is very much required wherever you work. And if you want to work in further in big data field, then PySpark knowledge is required. So PySpark is also covered as part of the program. So it's a 2-month comprehensive program where we will be preparing you to work either in data engineering field or big data or DevOps, okay, or AWS general solution architect kind of roles. Okay, yeah, please, any questions you can ask now.
So as a fresher, I mean, what's a job opportunity we get?
As a fresher, like I told, right? So if you're a fresher or want to, so this is 1 to 2 to 3 years old I'm talking about, right? So as a fresher, okay, you can start as a junior solution architect, okay, not senior, right? Or you can also work as AWS, this one, okay, AWS technical associate, okay, you can start as a AWS technical associate, where you will be assigned task related to fixing uh, issues related to, okay, application which is running in AWS cloud, okay, like let's say server is down, maybe they will ask you to see, ask you to restart the server, and they will ask you to check the logs to find out the reason for server down time, okay. So as a fresher, you will be working as AWS technical associate kind of role, where mainly your task will be to monitor services and debugging those problems that arises in application, okay, due to certain other reasons. So at a fresher level, yeah, yes, okay. So mainly, you will not get an architect kind of role. You will be getting a technical associate, or if you are working, working in a data engineering related team, they may ask you to write Python functions, okay, to process the data. Okay, let's say you have a data, and this data has some missing values, okay, and they may ask you to write Python program which will take this data and it will fill these missing values with some other value, okay. So this kind of task, okay, you may get if you are working in a data related team. If you're working in DevOps team, you may get a task like, okay, let's say CI/CD pipeline is failed, okay. They may tell, hey, you go and check the log, okay, maybe in Jenkins. Go and check the log. Their reasons will be present for the CI/CD pipeline failure. And then you can, they will tell, okay, this is how you have to restart. Once they will tell, then you have to follow that one. So these kind of technical, initially they will give you a small technical task with respect to the team where you are working. Okay, if you are under data engineering team, they will give data related task. If you are under DevOps, DevOps related task. If you are in a general team, then you may get task related to server restarting or server maintenance. Okay. And writing maybe a shell script for CI/CD related things, okay, or writing there is something called as you can write, okay, maybe installing a web server kind of thing, okay, using Linux commands. So those kind of activities will be given for a fresher.
Sir,
Right?
and one more thing.
Mhm.
With this, if we take with the AWS, is there
Mhm.
any further growth on the different, uh, I mean, different concepts like now currently AI is trending on that market.
Mhm. Mhm.
So how we can relate if we
Yeah,
get
there are
AWS?
services related to AI, everything. Okay, so once you complete the program, then you can take a decision to go with the specializations. Okay, so we will be covering most of the things. Then there is specialization like AWS data engineering specialization is there. Okay, there they add more services. Okay, related to data engineering, AI ML service. Okay, services are there. Okay, there is AI ML specialization. There are DevOps specializations. Okay, so there more and more DevOps services they will add. Okay, so you can pick a track and then you can become AWS specialist in a respective field. Okay, like this you can plan. Okay, once you complete this program and once you have around 1 to 2 years of work experience, then you can plan for AWS specialization so that you can work as a AWS specialized solution architect for respective things. If you are interested in AML, then choose this one. Okay, there are services related to like SageMaker, all these things are there. You can pick this one and you can build your career in this specialized field.
Sir, yeah, if AIML was the final product, is there any way we can start right away with the AIML?
See, yeah, so let me tell you something, right? So now let's say you want to write a English poem, correct? Right? So who can write a poem? Person who know how to write paragraph in English or how to write a sentence in English can write a poem, correct?
Yes.
Or a specialized article. So first is learning about English alphabets, how to write sentence, how to write a paragraph, okay, how to write a story. Then you can write a poem, correct? So now if you want to go to AML directly without knowing anything related to AWS, you don't know what is AWS, what is the architecture of AWS, what is EC2 service, what is S3 service, what is VPC, okay, what is RDS and many more, okay. Now when you go to AML, right, so here you are writing, for example, linear regression, okay, linear regression is a machine learning algorithm. So this algorithm requires data, right? So now data will be present in S3. If you don't know what is S3, then as a AML specialized architect, you will not be able to build even a machine learning model, okay? And this output has to be stored, let's say, in somewhere, okay, in S3 or EFS or, okay, or let's say output, let's say you want to store somewhere. So for this, you need to know all other services also, right? So if you know only AML related services, you will not be able to build end-to-end solution for the problem. Now you tell me, is this directly going here is right approach or building from scratch and then going here is right approach?
So first we should have a good base so that we can have a
Yeah, that is
better.
why first solution architect kind of training program you have to go through and work for 1 to 2 years in AWS with this knowledge, then you will get more exposure. Then go to specializations in AWS. Okay.
Yes, sir. And one more thing is, uh, so currently, where is the opportunity for AWS? I mean, which are the companies currently hiring?
Yeah, there are
Uh,
plenty of companies. So best way to search is you can open Naukri and you can type, okay, AWS jobs, or you can open Glassdoor and type AWS jobs. Okay, you will get thousands of jobs, but there are no candidate available. Okay, so AWS, okay, Naukri, then what is that? Monster. Okay, so many sites are there, right? If you open Google and if you type AWS jobs, for example, right, you will get hundreds, but only thing is knowledge is required. Okay, so AWS jobs, okay, right? You can see here itself, it is showing 100 plus jobs, okay? And now 15,457 jobs, LinkedIn, 17,000 jobs. But skilled people are required. That is what the, if you open here, okay, all companies, their details, okay, everything is available.
yeah,
So
and one more, this kind of jobs are mostly based on the shifts, right? I mean, rotational shifts, kind of.
say everything, yeah, all type of jobs are there. So all 15,000, you mean to say shift? No, okay. So every AWS is a ocean, okay. So it is not like, so it depends on what work your job role you are applying based on that. Okay, if you apply a developer job in AWS, you will do developer job, right? Creating some instances through programmatically or so everything depends on what kind of role you are applying for, and all are not that kind of jobs. Okay.
So to get the developer jobs, what are the requirements should we have?
First thing is you should know AWS. Okay. So then you need to know Python. Okay. So then if you want to go to AWS developer, then using Python in AWS, you can work as a AWS developer. And also other services, S3, everything you have to know. Okay. So when somebody asks you to write a AWS program to copy data from one S3 bucket, okay, to other S3 bucket, right, using Python. Okay, this is a developer job, right? So you need to know all other AWS services. Okay, so now not only this, right? So how do you run this program? For that, you need to know Lambda. Okay, so Lambda internally uses other services, correct? So this kind of role is a developer role, right? For that, you know, see, for end of the day, for everything, you need to know about this one, correct? So you can target which one AWS developer kind of role for these things. Okay. Any other questions?
That's
Okay. Any questions you can ask? No questions? If no questions, please I'll stop here. Okay. We'll continue in the next session. Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day. Bye.